We now officially live in a post-Suicide Squad killed the Justice League world. I know, right? You can still go buy the game or something like that, but it's no longer being supported. Something that is very much a growing trend with games cut from this cloth moving forward. For as many that were released in 2024, even fewer are continuing into 2025. It's definitely going to be a year of transformation. Or in the case of Suicide Squad, just a year of cancellation. And 42% of the time, it tends to be the case with these sorts of things. But I guess there are a few sycophants that want this to continue, this ideology, this game development set of ideals to continue. Okay, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League's big reset button opens the door to some interesting storytelling. No, as somebody who watched this entire game from toes to titties get played out, there is nothing interesting that you could do with the storytelling of this. Okay, the characters were AIDS. The gameplay was atrocious. It wasted some talented people. Like, you had Jonathan Isaacs, of all people, voice Brainiac, and you wasted him. Samoa Joe. You had Tara Strong give her worst performance I have ever heard. Like, this was a total failure. And that's no longer just my opinion, given the fact that it couldn't even make a year. That's just fact. On Tuesday, January 14th, Rocksteady Studios and Warner Bros. Games released the final major content update for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League in the form of Season 4. And then it's funny how that ended up resulting in absolutely no blip when it came to users. But as it sits right now, 265 people are playing that. 350 people were playing it over the weekend. Yeah, it's done. It's dusted. But yeah, moving right along. Yeah, in the form of Season 4, Episode 8. Yeah, balance. Just 16 days before the game's 1-year anniversary. Oh! Players were able to venture into the medieval Elseworld, seemingly set on Earth. 118 from the Dark Knight Steel series, based on the towering... Yeah, man. That's a problem with DC Comics. You keep on introducing a bunch of these different Elseworlds, and it ends up just detracting from what at one point in time was one of the most reliable runs in comics. But that was a very long time ago. But yeah. Oh, well, this may be an end to Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League story, thankfully and mercifully. Its conclusion could set up compelling narratives for future games. Yeah, which is exactly why, also at the 11th hour, they revealed, hey guys, don't worry about it. Batman, Superman, The Flash, and Green Lantern. Yeah, they weren't actually killed, but don't mention, Wonder Woman, who died fighting those clones. They're just clones. See, they're clones. Don't worry about it. So if Rocksteady needs to, I don't know, make another Batman game in the near future, don't worry about it, because they're just clones, okay? We don't have any explanation as to how Brainiac managed to capture and contain Superman, Batman, The Flash, Green Lantern, everybody else. He was able to just, keep them sequestered while he wiped out 95% of the Earth's population and enslaved the other 5% and made clones, something that, Brainiac, the guy who's known for mind controlling people. Yeah, he's just known for creating clones. So he just kept the originals, off to the side. Don't need to explain that, okay? And he just sent his clones out there instead of making multiples of those clones to more effectively wipe out any threats that could be there, having an entire army of Supermen. Could you imagine how effective he would be at wiping out any threats on Earth with an entire battalion of Flash? No, don't worry about it, because the people over there at Rocksteady weren't thinking about that, because that was the 11th hour. Warner Brothers coming through going, hey, this shit ain't working. They were all clones, okay? Batman needs to come back because we need to have another Arkham game coming out. We're going to be making a new Batman game, so fucking figure it out. According to a new report, UK team Rocksteady Studios is working on a new Batman game, which at this point in time, and we talked about this when this news broke, God, what was that? Yeah, in on and around the time that Deadshot's delinquent daughter was being teased as being, one of the new updates for that goofy game. Yeah. Word was circulating that, hey guys, Rocksteady's going to be working on a new Batman game, and why in the blue hell should you trust them? Because it's going to be the team, not the team that worked on any of those phenomenal Arkham games, okay? It was going to be the team that worked on Kill the Justice League. It's kind of like with The Witcher 4. I bet you're excited for that when you realize that nobody who worked on it, except for like 2 people who worked on The Witcher 3, are working on Witcher 4. Elder Scrolls 6, that's going to be great, with that 15, 16-year gap between releases. I'm sure everybody, for the people that actually liked Skyrim back in the day, I'm sure you're looking forward to that game that's going to bear zero resemblance to Skyrim, but it'll probably still be made on the same old antiquated engine and set of tools that Bethesda steadfastly sticks by to make their terrible games. The most overrated studio in the business right now. But anyways, there are so many studios and companies that are simply either resting on their laurels or wearing their past successes as skin suits. And as we see the rest of the industry burning right now, I mean, Ubisoft is on death's door. EA is losing how many billions of dollars? Hilarious. What was it? The amount of market capital that EA stock dropped, okay? They lost that 20% market valuation, ended up accounting for 2 or 3 full valuations of Ubisoft, which is wild to think about. Ubisoft, EA, and Activision, which is having their own little throws right now. At one point in time, those were the pillars of the third-party AAA industry, and now they're each battling to the bottom. It's wild to think about. And then you had other studios. You had other developers, other publishers that were out there that made for a thriving time in gaming. It wasn't that long ago. It was about a decade ago where you could go and you could rely on Western AAA developers to give you at least something competent, if not revolutionary. Okay, Rocksteady, for their 3 Batman games that they put out, for a lot of people, they're some of the greatest games ever. Arkham City is still up there, and then once, Arkham Knight got fixed, I think it's widely regarded as the best in the trilogy, and I still see, screenshots of that game, and it looks better than a lot of the stuff that's getting put out right now. It's wild to think about. And in recent years, yeah, it's not like these studios haven't had successes. Speaking about Warner Brothers games, who published the Batman games and Suicide Squad, and then in 2023, Hogwarts Legacy, a little game that you might have heard about. They've been absolutely killing it. And then 2024 came around and they absolutely killed it. And by it, I mean themselves. Because here's a studio, man, like Warner Brothers is so absolutely retarded. They have licensing agreements and they have deals to publish just about everything in pop culture, as you know, love, and appreciate. Okay, they got DC licenses, so they could, if anybody could ever crack this magical code to make a competent Superman game, because that's wild. It's been a long time since there's been a good Superman movie, and it's been even longer since there's been a good Superman game, because guess what? That's kind of a trick statement, because there's never been a good Superman game. But Batman's fared a little bit better. So yeah, you've got the DC stuff with all of those characters, all the legacy that is there, nearly 100 years of comic book lore and stories that you can tell, but you fumble that bag tremendously. You have the Lord of the Rings IP. Bro, Shadow of Mordor was huge when it came out. Okay, it has that, God, it's not the Nemesis system, or is it the Nemesis system? Like, it was revolutionary at the time, and yeah, people wanted more of that, and then they put out Shadow of War, and less said about that one, the better. Them also trademarking that unique system, that's kind of scummy stuff, but the fact that you don't do more with the Lord of the Rings is ridiculous. Now, they got that Game of Thrones game that's coming out here, I think this year, next year, something like that. That looks promising. But the fact that there aren't more of those, and when Game of Thrones was really cooking, the best you could do was put out and shit out a stupid Telltale game. Like, what are we doing? You guys, Warner Brothers is a stupid entertainment company. You used to just be able to say that for their TV and for their movie side of things, but when it comes to gaming, I think that has to take the cake. So, hearing and seeing that the boss, that David Haddad, he wasn't fired. He actually got to walk away from this dumpster fire? It's wild, man. Warner Brothers Games boss David Haddad resigns as Sweet Baby Inc. infected Suicide Squad killed the Justice League, decimates Warner Brothers Gaming division. No. It was a multitude of things that just, added to the dumpster fire because, yeah, on top of that in 2024, you also had a Mortal Kombat. Bro, like, Mortal Kombat 1 being as bad as it was, okay, because I guess, Conan just came out. I think that wraps up, or does the T-1000 still have to come out? It really doesn't much matter, man, because the game only had, just over 700 entrants for its first and only Evo. Like, that is wild to think about, a brand new Mortal Kombat game and nobody gives a fuck about it. It tells you exactly all you need to know. But they screwed that game up so much. Oh my God, just a weak roster, an ugly roster, banking on boomerific cameo characters to come in, a gimmicky gameplay style, and then taking, beloved legacy characters like Sector and Cyrax, making them women. Like, what are you doing? I understand you got Elfworld and you got multiverse crap that's in there, but it's so funny, right? Because you can never do it right, okay? You can never actually be faithful to the lore or to the history. This is a universal problem, okay? Not talking about the studio either, but just, across all of entertainment. Whenever you want to do any of these changes and swaps. It never goes in one direction. It always tends to go in the messages direction. And can anybody point to one example where it has actually worked? Like Chaos Reigns, when it came out, it was everybody just collectively groaned and rolled their eyes because we knew that, yeah, this is just going to fail. And then we seen the price point that it came out at, and it's like, this is absolutely going to fail. And you know what ended up happening? All future DLC plans and all future support for Mortal Kombat 1 will cease right then and there. We'll release what we have in the can, and then outside of that, I don't know, man, we'll just have to reboot the series because we decided to fatality ourselves. It's so wild. But yes, that was a big factor because something came out, and I can't remember the exact quote, and I couldn't find it, but there's 4 big pillars that Warner Brothers is trying to focus on when it comes to their plans moving forward. They want everything to go through the four of the big franchises that they have. They want, the DC stuff to work. Obviously, you got the launch of James Gunn's DCU with Superman and that wonky looking trailer that just got released. I'm sure we'll see more of that, over the Super Bowl, but I'll eventually get around to that when I do. And then Lord of the Rings, I think that was also focused, but yeah, if War of the Rohirrim is anything to go on, don't exactly have all that much hope for, the hunt for Gollum with ancient-ass Viggo Mortensen and maybe Ian McKellen, whatever's left of him coming back. Bro, I don't want it. I really don't want it, okay? And going back over the past couple of weeks, watching The Hobbit for the first time and then going back here over the past weekend, watching it a second time, I actually liked it quite a bit more. Like, they're still really bad movies, and I wouldn't put any of them higher than a 4, but Unexpected Journey, that sits a little bit better with me. Like, I really hated it the first time I watched it, and it's a little bit more passable. Like, I still got big problems with it, but it's fine. 4 is about as high as I'd put it. Smog, I still think is the best in the best in the bunch, and then Battle for 5 Armies is just, it's so dumb. Like, there's just no stakes to any of the combat at all whatsoever. But I digress. Warner Brothers couldn't even do something like that. Okay? They couldn't even do something as fun as the tie-in games that they would have for, the Two Towers and Return of the King anymore. They couldn't do that. I'm looking forward to this weekend rewatching, the extended edition for The Lord of the Rings, because god damn it, that was such a good viewing experience beforehand. But I digress. Yeah, focusing in on DC, Lord of the Rings. I'm pretty sure it was Game of Thrones. No, it was Harry Potter. George R.R. Martin, once again, just BTFO'd by J.R.R. Tolkien, somebody who can actually finish the story. And then also Mortal Kombat. Now, you got Mortal Kombat 2 coming out this year, the movie, okay? That'll be interesting. I'm sure it's going to be better than, the second Mortal Kombat movie from back in the 90s, because, oh boy, for as much as I like it, for its campiness and its goofiness, I think the first one, the first Mortal Kombat movie is fine. I'd have to actually go back and watch it, but I remember it being fine. I used to really like it, but I understand that it's definitely dated and it's very, very goofy. But Annihilation, oh boy, that was one of those things, because I went and filled in the gaps when it came to, a bunch of big action films and a bunch of just, quintessential cinema from back in the day, about 10 years ago or something. So, Terminator, Star Wars, a bunch of other, franchises that had just, it kind of missed me in my childhood. I went and filled in those gaps, and rewatching the, Mortal Kombat when I got those. It's like, oh yeah, I got Mortal Kombat, and then I got Annihilation, and I think I put the disc in for Annihilation, and I played the first couple of minutes, and then when big CGI Shao Kahn's head popped up, and oh my god, what was it? Sindel had her first couple of lines, and it's like, nope, can't do this. Nope, this is just way too much cringe for me. So yeah, by simple virtue of Karl Urban being Johnny Cage, that immediately lets me know that it's going to be a better movie, because even if he's in dud movies, Karl Urban always brings it, and him being Johnny Cage, it's about as best casting as you can possibly get. There is so much repair that, Warner Brothers needs to do if those are going to be the big 4-pillar franchises for them moving forward. And, well, I hope that Superman is good, because I really want a good Superman project in general. On the gaming front, oh boy, all of those they're very damaged or underserved, and at this point in time, if they're underserved, we don't want any more installments. But the fallout from Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League may have just claimed another major casualty. Warner Brothers Games president David Haddad is stepping down after a catastrophic year for the division, marred by $200 million failure of Rocksteady's live service DC Arkhamverse game. The key factor in the debacle, the divisive involvement of Sweet Baby Inc. No, I want to dispel this, because yeah, the characters in the narrative were aids, but the entire game was really bad. Okay, the monetization practices were in your face and obnoxious. The gameplay was just trash. It was generic slop, and then also at this point in time, like, who cares about the Suicide Squad? Okay, like, they had 2 movies that did absolutely nothing. So just simply put this as going, oh, game woke means game bad. No, game was bad, and also just so happened to be woke. Now, David has thoughtfully and purposefully chosen a time when our release schedule is lighter, which will help minimize disruption to our ongoing projects and strategic plans to, he's the boss, okay? He's not down there punching in the ones and zeros, okay? He doesn't really have much to do with the goings-on at Rocksteady or the other studios that they have under their umbrella. So no, this is just before he has to release or read out or face the music for, the end of the year reports that are going to be coming out in March. Yeah, he'll just be sunsetting his time with Warner Brothers during a lighter period where we're not releasing anything. But yes, and allow this team to smoothly prepare for our next record-breaking title. When the blue hell even is that? Warner Brothers Discovery Global Streaming and Games CEO, President J.B. Perrette said, I am so proud of everything we've accomplished together at Warner Brothers Games during my time with the company, Haddad said following his resignation. It has been an absolute pleasure working on and building our iconic gaming franchises and watching them all burn to the ground. And I will continue to be an enthusiastic supporter of this talented team's future endeavors. I look forward to working on the next chapter of my career and will always be grateful for my time with Warner Brothers Games. So that's nice, and just tell your story walking stupid. Well, Haddad's departure is being framed as voluntary. Many are quick to point at financial fallout from Kill the Justice League and chalk it up to another Sweet Baby Inc. client suffering heavy losses. Yeah, and that's another thing. Well, I won't completely say that they're to blame for this game's failure. I mean, it's important to point out whenever a game is specifically tied to Sweet Baby Inc., they always seem to just magically and in short order either go out of business or receive a significantly terrible earnings report. Indeed, the exit of Haddad is hard to separate from the disaster that was Kill the Justice League, the live service shooter developed by Rocksteady Studio, and faced backlash from fans and critics alike for its uninspired gameplay, forced identity politics, and its ill-conceived narrative that saw beloved heroes like Batman and the Justice League killed off. No, don't worry, guys, they were clones. It's totally fine, right? It's just like David Haddad. He was just a clone, okay? The guy who was actually, successful at the company for the previous 10 years. I don't know, he just got replaced by a clone in 2023. Don't worry about it. It's totally fine. But yes, Warner Brothers has made it clear that the gaming division is not for sale and will focus, the focus will shift to always on live service and mobile titles tied to major IPs like Harry Potter, Mortal Kombat, Game of Thrones. Yet this pivot raises questions about whether the lessons from Kill the Justice League will truly be learned, or if it's another step toward alienating core gamers in pursuit of short-term trends. Yup, and that's going to be the story for the AAA gaming space in the West moving forward this year, because like I said at the beginning, it's going to be a very transformative year in gaming. Heavy emphasis on the trans side of things, and well, we know half the time how that always ends. So, with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Cotswell, and I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.